Please welcome Amanda Rubin.
Hello. So I'm starting this presentation with, did you know you're a gamer? Because as it was just stated, I've been in gaming for almost 9 years. Prior to starting the sales team at Enthusiast Gaming about 3.5 years ago, I was at Electronic Arts for a really long time on the brand partnership team. And I remember back in like 2015, I would walk into media agencies and ask anybody in the room to raise their hand if they were a gamer, and nobody raised their hand. But the truth of the matter is, everyone is a gamer. There's enough insights here, I think, to prove to you how large gaming is. I love asking the question to family and friends. My grandmother went to play canasta for the first time last week. I told her she's a gamer. She was like, no, I'm not. I said, that's a game. Gaming by default is huge, and everyone is playing some form of game. The connotation of a kid in his parents' basement, that is one type of gamer, and that gamer does exist, and that gamer is exceptionally important, but there are a lot of other gamers. And so the way I like to look at gaming now, and I've shared this with a few different people that I've spoken to, is that gaming kind of has moved from that passion point vertical category of food, travel, fashion, where I like to do this, I like to game, to this horizontal, because it is an entertainment platform. It is no longer just this one passion point. We all find a way to play a game at some point. I know personally, I like to pick up my phone and play games when I'm watching television. And I think it's just very important for us to realize that as this consumer attention shifts, oops, I did not want to go to that yet. Well, whatever, we'll leave it on the slide. As this consumer attention shifts, we realize that we need to all have a gaming strategy. And so I'm going to share with all of you, Enthusiast Gaming is a gaming company. Obviously, we have a gaming strategy. But for everyone else in this room, I think there's a lot of feedback you can take from why gaming is engaging, what people are doing with gaming, and how you might be able to utilize this in your own strategies. So this is just a little tidbit on the Barclays Center. 19,000 seats in the Barclays Center. I am from New York, so that is why we used this. This is a great example of an event that was sold out at the Barclays Center for an esports tournament, which is massive. Esports tournaments are huge. The bigger news here is on your right, Shiv is a member of Luminosity Gaming, one of our esports orgs. On a given random Tuesday night, Shiv can get 19,000 viewers on his Twitch live stream just for doing something silly. He can get more views than concerts that spends months trying to sell out their stadium. And this is just a random, not random, but mid-scale influencer. This isn't even the biggest content creators in gaming. So when you think about that live streaming capability, that's one thing I'll note as we go through this. Live streaming is big. The event aspect of gaming has been something that has been made big by gaming. You can use this in events for you, even if you are not gaming. I'm pushing Twitch here, our competitor. Great timeline here just of how brands are getting involved in gaming. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. This is really what this shows. All of the massive publishers are trying to find how they have a way in gaming. They have gaming arms, they have gaming leads, gaming teams. All of the big media agencies these days now are breaking out from just sports and entertainment teams to specific gaming leads and gaming teams, which is pretty crazy and cool to see. What I love about gaming is the attention that it provides. So most importantly, when you are playing a game, you are paying attention. When I am watching television, I'm also on my cell phone. When I am playing a game on my cell phone, I am only in that game. When you're reading things around the game, news around the game, learning around the game, you're still pretty engaged in the game. So you don't have to just be in the game experience to realize that it's big. It's such an intention metric. And I don't know if any of you attended the Playfronts, which was pretty cool. The IAB threw the Playfronts for the first time this year in New York. They actually introduced the attention metric, which is a newer, even more forward-thinking engagement metric. I have no idea how we're quantifying it yet, but we're going with the attention metric. So to aid to that, not only are people engaged and paying attention when they're playing games, they actually like the ad experience. So the ad experience in a game has to be organic. It has to be thoughtful, but it's typically providing the user some type of reward, some type of trick, some type of alignment with their gameplay. And because of that, we have found in general that, consumers are actually very excited to see games, at brands in their games, ways brands involved with their games, their gaming content, and it actually adds to the branded experience in a way that doesn't feel so forced and feels pretty authentic. Last piece here, just because I felt like I really had to tap into this, and I'm trying to zoom through all the pieces, and I'm sure you'll have a million questions after, but the metaverse. Everyone wants to talk about the metaverse and gaming. I think John framed up really well yesterday. You know, we're not in the full version of the metaverse. If any of you saw Ready Player One, I hope we never get to that version of the metaverse. But, you know, we are in pieces of the metaverse and fragments, and Epic is doing an incredibly great job with Fortnite, and we have the Roblox and the Minecrafts of the world, where brands are trying to find a way into this version of the metaverse, these giant concerts in the metaverse. The big thing here really is the creator economy. The creator economy is what's fueling gaming, and it's really what's fueling the entire media industry right now. We just saw it in the last presentation. A publisher creates something versus a creator creates something, and you see mass scale because people want to believe in these individuals, and that is the entire ideology behind Web3. So while we're not at the metaverse yet, we are fully at the beginning of Web3, the internet where it is all fueled by the creators themselves. So on that note, Enthusiast Gaming. We are the largest vertically integrated gaming publisher out there. We do absolutely everything in gaming. For some of you that have spoken with me over the past day, we do so much in gaming that it is hard for me to even put it on one slide or in an elevator pitch. But we have 50+ sites, 700 YouTube channels. We have all of these growing TikTok channels right now, and I can get further into TikTok, but it is definitely the future of kind of gaming content creation right now. We own an esports team, so Luminosity Gaming is one of our top esports orgs. They are a top 10 esports org, according to Forbes. We have every different type of website, so Addicting Games is kind of our legacy brand of casual games, the Addicting Games team, so we actually make games too through Addicting Games. The Addicting Games team is actually now starting to create HTML-based browser games on the blockchain with NFT minting, so that would be EV.io. So crypto goes hand in hand also with the metaverse, which also has all of these legs that kind of have started to be progressed very quickly through the lens of gaming. So that I think will be a nice roundup of Enthusiast Gaming. If any of you want to learn more about that, you can ask me after. But I'm going to get into the case studies, because this is, I know, what Steve really wanted me to chat about and to educate all of you on, which is how are brands working with us? And I think you'd be surprised to find that it's not the endemics. When I started at Enthusiast Gaming, my leadership team asked me to go after all the endemics, and I said, no, it's the Fortune 500 companies that want a way into gaming. And so L'Oreal came to us with their Essie brand. They were launching an Essie Expressi quick dry nail polish collection. They thought, how cool would it be to do this with gamers? They can paint their nails can dry, they can use their controller. So we came up with a campaign where we basically took 4 major gaming content creators. We created custom Instagram and Snapchat at the time filters for them to have these cool kind of special effects, nail polish on them. They posted about their filters on their social channels as well as while they were live streaming playing their favorite games on Twitch. Then we cut these down into videos, utilized them as 15-second pre-roll across our massive YouTube network. And then we also leaned into some of our fan communities, like the Sims Resource, where we had the Sims Resource, which is the #1 Sims fan community for mod creation. Mod creation is basically in-game cosmetics. So we leaned into our top content creators, or our top creators for the Sims Resource, had them create nail polish mods, hosted that on the Sims Resource landing page, and then also had all of our players see the ads of this campaign through homepage takeovers and the video running in drop-downs on the Sims Resource page. So we have that lens of being that kind of one-stop shop 360 in gaming, in that we can lean into the content creator, create a cool piece of content, find a way to mod that into potentially a game itself, and then run it within a fan community. And you find that we have all these different communities. So for this SE community, it was Gen Z females. That was the audience. We also, in our legacy titles, like some of the casual games of Addicting Games, like Little Big Snake and Type Racer, bring in a much older audience. And then we have, you know, the core kind of upcoming gaming content creator audience that we did with Lego Technic. So for Lego Technic, they came to us and they wanted to promote specifically Lego Technics are a harder build. They're all about tips and the skills and mastery of building a Lego Technic. So we had Luminosity. Luminosity is our esports org. We thought about what if we created a Luminosity Academy, the next level of an esports org, how do we create something where kids can be mentored by some of our top mentees, bring them into the world of content creation, and do this all with Lego Technic. So what we actually built was we did build an academy, but the partnership was actually a tryout series for the academy. It was a 5-part tryout series where we actually leaned into this master builder, Boone, the master builder for Lego. And in the beginning of every of those 5 videos, we had 30 potential hopefuls that we kind of vetted. Boone would do a Lego Technic build. He would talk about the skill required to build that Lego Technic. And then these kids would basically face off in a game that we chose, from Fortnite to Roblox to Minecraft to, I think we also had Fall Guys in there, utilizing that skill utilized in a Lego Technic build. Which, I think, pause on that for a second. Let's also think about the fact that kids, people, adults, doesn't matter who you are, you learn a lot from gameplay. I've read a lot of articles recently about, top female CEOs talking about how, when they think about a gaming approach, when they think like a gamer, they think smarter, they think strategic, they think about skills, they think about lessons, they think about teamwork and how they lean on other people. And so these kids got that, and they learned that. They went through this series. They ended up getting mentored by Nick A30, who's huge, Jerome ASF, Tootie. They actually all met up in Times Square at OS NYC, which is a big gaming bar, and got to meet their mentors. We did a whole photo shoot, and then we actually mentored them in the Luminosity Academy for a year. Some of them were written up in local newspapers. It was a huge deal for these young hopefuls. And then a third case study here. I'm trying to run through this so you guys can ask questions. But speaking of the metaverse, we did a really big build with Adidas a few months back for their for Osworld, for their Oswego brand. We created a totally custom Fortnite map, where we also had 3 different mini games, a scavenger hunt. We showcased the Adidas sneakers, and we had 2 major streamers, Chica and Somerset, actually play inside the Fortnite map live during Twitch live streams. It was totally top ranked during that time of viewership. Adidas loved it. It's actually up for a good amount of awards right now, and I think we actually have a video on it if you want to see what it looks like. This is the one video I have. I promise it will be quick if it plays. No, it didn't play. Is there a way to play it? It was playing? I don't think it's playing. Yep. If it doesn't play, it's okay. I'm ready. It might just be playing on your computer. It's okay. You got it? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, it's okay. I can send it to people later if they'd like to see, but it was very cool. I mean, it was a very high-end map build. So in the world of Metaverse map builds, I know every brand wants a Metaverse map build. There are different ways to do it. There are content creators can build their own kind of mini map and have a fun experience. It's normally a little low budget then, but it's fun. The content creator takes part in it, and there's a whole live stream around it. In this specific map build, we worked with our partner, Team Unite, who actually builds all of our Fortnite maps, and they build pretty cohesive, advanced universes with mini games and scavenger hunts, massive touch points, to the point that consumers get really excited and they actually go into Fortnite and they play that Metaverse build as well. And that was a cool part of this campaign. And then the last one, just to showcase, that the world of crypto and kind of in-game, Hut8 was a massive partner of ours for EV.io. EV.io is a first-person shooter HTML game that, as I mentioned, was built on the blockchain. Hut8 took part in all of the skins, all of the guns, everything around the game. Obviously, this is not a brand-safe game for certain brands, but brands that do want first-person shooter love this. And what was cool about this is we actually did unique NFT mints throughout this, sponsored by Hut8, which was pretty cool, getting into the world of crypto. And I think my key takeaways here, because I definitely am not trying to sell you guys on enthusiast gaming, but I want to more be helpful in terms of gaming culture and help everyone here understand how you can become part of it. Recognize it's everywhere. Like, gaming is not niche anymore. Gaming is very, very important. Gaming is the way into an entire generation and how they consume media and content. If you want to target Gen Z, you must understand the world of gaming. If you want to embrace innovation, start thinking about gamification. How can you gamify your properties? Everybody likes gaming for different reasons. People play role-playing games to escape to fantasy. People play first-person shooter, I'm not entirely sure why. People play strategy games just because I don't play first-person shooter. People play strategy games because they love strategy. People play, mindless games just because maybe it's a form of meditation and, releasing their mind from what they're working on. And so some people like to level up. They like the idea of finding ways to increase something, to win. And so with that in mind, how can you think about that with your loyalty programs? How can you think about that with the content that you create? How can you gamify your properties? Because even the most non-gamer type properties can find a way to gamify, and with that mindset, it's a really cool way to think about content. And the last thing I will leave you with is that intention is engagement. If you can gain someone's attention, you can get them to engage.
Very cool. Come on, questions for Amanda.
So I'm going to date myself a little bit, but when I was working at Comcast in the 2000s, and we did a partnership with IGN, part of what we were pushing was this notion that everyone is a gamer, and it's not just the niche, it is the masses. So I'm a huge believer in gaming and gamification, the attention, not necessarily the first-person shooter, I agree. But so the obvious use cases are, as you said, reaching that younger audience, because this is a key part of how they are engaging. But when we think about what I've not been successful at, quite frankly, over the rest of my career in different companies that I've worked for, is integrating gaming into, I run lifestyle. So to your point that you were just making, what are your thoughts or recommendations on, if it's not the hardcore, how should we be thinking about integrating it more for the masses and for brands that are not obviously, gaming affiliated?
Yeah, I think there's a different type of game for everyone. I grew up playing The Sims. I always loved design games, typical girl here. I play a game now called Design Home, where you get to design homes. But it's literally using real products, real rugs, real furniture. So when I think about, lifestyle brands, how can you gamify products? How can you create a mini house that they can own in their landing page? Can they have their own mini apartment or mini wardrobe? And can you do that with products from brands? Can you do that linked to stories? It's just how can they play? How can you get kind of fun and functional with whatever your product is? We were talking to a financial services brand about how they could gamify their own website. And we were like, why don't you create a fun game out of money making? Since real money isn't really a game and people don't want to play with their actual money, how can you create a program that simulates if somebody earned money, what would they do with it? How would they invest it? What would they use it on? And actually get them to practice that so that they know how to utilize it in real life when they make it and use your property because you helped them understand it. So I think it's just that gamification layer of anything you do, you can create a playable too. How do you just get thoughtful about how to be playable with your assets?
But there's also the piece that you don't necessarily need to gamify it. That's obviously one really great, valuable way to do it. But the fact of understanding that gaming is a social connection among your audience. Yes. So Alicia's audience at People, I think People actually used to have a gaming tab on it. But her audience is playing, especially mobile games. But it's a part of their everyday experience, but it's an aspect of their everyday experience that the publishers are not talking about, haven't found a way to talk about this part of their experience, or find a way to connect all those users together. Because I think one of the lessons from Wordle was, look at this aftermarket of Wordle discussion that's going on, of people trading their scores and trading hints, that the New York Times should be capturing, because that's where the engagement's going on.
Yeah, I think through that, you could even, in terms of making, just an idea here, right? But you want to break down that connotation. So I think the more all of your different properties start to talk about gaming and make gaming cool and start to say, I game, I do games, I create content around games, more and more people will come out of kind of the woodwork to talk about it too. I've even seen publishers leaning into people that play games, looking at the games they're playing and creating scavenger hunts within them for them to earn rewards on their own properties. So there's a lot of like fun ways to bring what they're playing into another property and actually incentivize it on like the opposite way of a reward-based ad.
I want to ask a question about the way you're structuring some of these deals, because first of all, some of these projects that you mentioned seem pretty high, heavy lifts.
Yes.
There's a lot that's going into this on your end. So tell me a little bit about how you organize your teams around this, and then the other part of the question is, how the hell what set of deliverables do the brands want from this? What sort of results are they getting out of this they're not getting anywhere else, and how do you price something like this stuff? Sorry,
Yeah.
five questions, take any two.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parts to this. I would say our teams are set up very similar to a traditional media publisher. We've got our sales team, we've got our CS account management team, we have our marketing team, we have our cross-functional teams. We're very process-oriented, and the RFP process and something that comes in, like who does it go to? Does it go to our content leads? Does it go to our talent leads? Does it go to both? There's a lot of different portions of our content business. There's also all of our different silos of our game creation businesses. So basically our kickoff calls are pretty loaded when a cool brand comes in. So I can tell you that Lego Technic kickoff call probably had about 20 people on it from our team, because everybody wanted to give their input in what they wanted to build and what was part of that program. We're working right now on making sure there aren't too many cooks in the kitchen for the wrong reason. I think the nice thing about enthusiast gaming, and I'll make this answer pretty quick, is like we do have the mass scale. So for us, it's always about, if it's a big idea, what's the big idea we're leading with, normally either content or talent, and then how are we seeding it across all of our YouTube properties, all of our channels, and making a cohesive kind of bundle that only enthusiast gaming can do, because we are aware we're not the best esports org. We are not the only YouTube gaming network, but we are the only company that has an esports org, a gaming network, and content creation and talent all under one roof. So our secret sauce is that we do it all, and we do it cohesively in a way that brands don't have to look anywhere else but us.
But you said you're selling attention, and that's one of the key metrics here. Tell me about the metrics you're delivering back to your brands. What are they after from you that they're not able to get simply from mere impressions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still, we don't have the attention metric yet. We're still using a lot of the same media metrics: impressions, views, engagement, awareness. We are running brand affinity studies, so a lot of the time if we're doing a big content play, we're also seeding a brand affinity study across all of our YouTube channels to make sure we can measure that and report back on, how was awareness aided, how was affinity aided, what did people learn. But at the end of the day, people are really coming to us just because of our mass scale and reach. And they know that we can get an audience in a very unique way, and they love the content we're building. I will say, being a 360 content partner, we don't bring in a lot of lower funnel campaigns. They are all very upper funnel campaigns, and with that comes awareness and affinity KPIs and engagement KPIs. We're not being held to like CPAs, although we are testing that a little bit more in some of our TikTok campaigns, because we do have CPA functionalities on that. We do have a big partnership with G Fuel, as does like every other esports org. That is a CPA functionality based on code downloads from content creators. So we do things like that, but I would view us really just as kind of like an upper funnel entertainment partner at the moment, and we're using a lot of the same metrics I used when I worked, back in the male millennial content partner space.
And how do you talk to them about you started out by talking about how gaming is all about attention, and it gets their attention, and when it gets their attention, it gets their attention for their brands. But one of the big knocks against gaming traditionally had always been, yes, but gamers don't want to be interrupted. They are so focused on what they're doing that they really don't appreciate or like brands trying, even in obtuse ways, to get their way into the brands.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how you talk your brands down from a more intrusive approach.
Yes.
And prove out that this more sort of aligned approach or sponsorship approach works better.
So I'll caveat that with, we don't run into that so much at Enthusiast Gaming, because other than our addicting games, we don't really create ads in-game. We're doing a lot of around game content creators, content, so we don't have that interruption of game experience. However, prior to this, I worked at EA for 4 years, and at EA, that was a very big question. So there were really two ways we did it. There was the world of mobile gaming. In mobile gaming, it was never in the middle of a game that an ad popped up. But if you were playing Madden Mobile and you just lost your last life, you had an opportunity sponsored by a brand to watch this video, engage with this mini game, and earn an extra life. And that was at a basic level. From a casual standpoint, there was a really fun campaign we actually did for Flonase with GSK years ago in our Tetris title. We created a power-up in Tetris, in the Tetris mobile minigame, that if you chose your Flonase power-up, you could spray it and clear away the entire board, just like it clears away your allergies. You know, and it's so basic, but so simple and worked so well. And so you used your one Tetris power-up for Flonase, and Flonase cleared away the board that week, and that was a really cool power-up leading into allergy season. On the opposite side of it, in the console games at EA, you know, this was a lot more protected IP, a lot harder to get into a Madden or a FIFA or a Sims. So if you were gonna be in those massive legacy titles, you were gonna do it in a really authentic way. So we actually did a partnership with Coca-Cola in FIFA where we were rolling out the new story mode in Coca-Cola. God, this must have been in like 2017 or 2018. Alex Hunter was the athlete in story mode. He's an athlete you could play with, and he was getting signed to a team. And we decided with Coca-Cola to make Alex Hunter sponsored by Coca-Cola. So when he got signed to his new team, he actually got a Coca-Cola jersey. A little boy walked up to him in story mode in FIFA, handed him a Coca-Cola. They did like the cheers, and they had their Coke moment, and we actually created a lot of press around how this was the first athlete Coca-Cola ever signed, that they didn't have to worry about any sex scandals or drug problems. And it was an ongoing laugh because it was like, this is a virtual athlete. So those were those authentic ways. You know, we did something in Madden with Pizza Hut Stadium. So you find ways to be aligned with and part of the experience, part of the fan base without obtruding any of that narrative.
Amanda Rubin, that was fantastic. Thank you so much.